But today is special because, you know, all around the country, we've been dealing with the situation of how to teach our kids. And we know that all the history is not in the books. It's not, you know, it's not being taught. So today we're here about how to teach our kids the truth and why we need to teach them the truth, and how we can move forward. And I can't think of a better time to do that other than, you know, I mean, we should have done it, but today is Juneteenth. It's about some history that was actually held from some Americans, some human beings that had to work another 2.5 years for free, another 2.5 years, and before they knew the truth. So, without further ado, I introduce our Commissioner, Angela Scott, my friend, and comrade, and partner in crime.
Good afternoon again. It feels so good to be at CRJ Live. We are looking forward to more in-person events as the months kick off. I wanted to introduce Dr. Drati, who again he is a change maker. He's been serving as the Santa Monica-Malibu Unified School District's Superintendent since his appointment on November 3rd, 2015. And here we are at 2022.
Wow.
He came to SMUSD from the Santa Barbara Unified School District, where he served as the Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education since 2012. Prior to working in this position, Dr. Drati began his teaching career as a chemistry teacher and football coach at Central High School in Fresno from 1997 to 2000. He served as an assistant principal at Riverdale High School in Riverdale. Imagine there is a Riverdale, right? And so that was from 2000 to 2002, and he was also the learning director at Clovis West High School in Clovis, California from 2002 to 2005. And then in 2005, he served as the deputy principal. So here we are with an amazing superintendent. I am just always so encouraged by him.
Y'all make me blush. If I was different, if I was lighter, I probably wouldn't see. How you guys doing?
Good.
Well, so I'm gonna try to go back and forth here because my notes are there, and so that way I stay focused on what we're gonna talk about today. You know, when Robbie called me last week and said, "If anyone wanted to, can you come speak at the Juneteenth event?" And I looked at my schedule. I think I can carve out a certain time here. If I speak out now and go back, my family's not gonna think I'm not gonna trip on me. So as soon as this is done, I'm gonna have a hightail out of here to go join the rest of the family. But when she asked me what to speak, so my initial question to her was, "What should I speak on?" And she said, "Anything that comes to your heart." Given that it's Juneteenth, that's pretty broad. You want to just kind of make up things, or come up with whatever I come up with, and you say, look, just go what's in your heart and what your initial thoughts are. And it dawned on me that I wanted to, given that it's Juneteenth in the history of the Black experience in the United States, I wanted to just focus on the impact of the truth when we in history, and so because it impacts so much what we omit and what we don't omit. So I guess my point, what I'm going to talk to you about is why it is essential for us to make sure that our curriculum, our curriculum that we give to our students is accurate as much as possible, that we know it, and because it does have implications on our democracy, and that not doing it hurts everyone. So a lot of times there's this battle going on in the nation right now about what to teach, what to omit, and there's so much anxiety out there. But I think what people don't understand is if you don't equip the citizens with the proper information, you're going to erode from inside. And I think I'll talk a little bit about that moving forward. So I wanted to explore, in that effort, I wanted to explore what not telling the truth is. So in other terms, what lying is. What is lying? And in this process, I want to include omission of information together with not telling the truth. Okay, because some sometimes you can intentionally omit information that gives a certain perspective that people may not know. So we got to ask omission and whether or not telling the truth. There's a part of the conversation. So my first question, and I want to ask myself, what are the negative effects of lying from a personal self? Not necessarily society, but I'll make the time a little bit. Personally, how does that lying impact? So I've been researching all this morning. What is negative effects of lying? According to a 2015 review article, constant lying is associated with an array of negative health outcomes, including high blood pressure, increased heart rate, vasoconstriction, and elevated stress hormones in the blood. Basically, it's saying it's not healthy. It's not personally healthy if you are knowingly lying about something. It does something to you psychologically. And if we are doing this, so it has an individual effect, but when you're unhealthy, you not only impact yourself, you impact your neighbors, your family, and everything else. So it has a broader impact. Another question I asked, what effect does lying have on the brain? So neuroscience reported a study of the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that deals with emotional response. The research said that the amygdala shows up less and less as we lie and lie more and more. Essentially, our guilt feelings tend to weaken and shrink. Just think about that. The more you lie, the more you feel guilty about things. Just think about that concept, because I'm gonna tie into history a little bit. Watching me for lying. In a series of lies, there is a threat of significant damage if the lie is discovered, loss of freedom, loss of money, relationships, reputation, or even life itself. I think you just kind of consider that. We're going to tie all that into how it impacts society. Why should we avoid lying? In serious lies, in serious lies, there is a threat of significant damage of life to this. I read that way. Sorry. Why is history still taught? Why is history taught in schools? That's another question I asked it. Why is history taught in school? History provides identity. Studying history improves our decision-making and judgment. History shows us models of good and responsible citizenship. History also teaches us how to learn from the mistakes from others. Okay? Very essential. Very essential. Another question I asked was, so anyway, let's just, before I go to the next section here, what I basically described to you is personally, and these are all personal views, but I'm going to associate that with just what's happening in the world right now. Okay, what's happening in the world. And if you're like me, you're watching the news, you're watching, whether it be economics, I know we have economists here, whether it be in the scarcity of resources, whether it be with dealing with disease, like we just dealt with the pandemic, how we struggle, and whether it be the wars we're about to get into, and the conflict around the world. I just described stuff outside, but internally too. Look what's happening with us with homelessness. People just can't afford to live in most of America. We have huge issues with climate change, and they actually predict that in about 30, 40 years, a lot of America may be inhabitable. And I don't know if you watch what's happening in just the fires throughout the western region, about whether it be in New Mexico or America, or just locally. We have Woolsey fire here, we have the Screwball fire. There's a lot of things that are happening around us that is impacted by basically the climate shift that's occurring. But we are just paralyzed, right? We can't be doing anything about it because no one knows the truth. So, what are some lies that have been told in U.S. history? Like I said, I'm going to include omission and information. Let me give you one example here. Colonization and enslavement of Africans for over 400 years as an act of God to help the Africans. Okay? I know this because I was born in Uganda. I know what was told to people in the continent why colonization exists. It was there to say, we're there to make you guys Christians or make you into something better than you are. So as a result, we have to do these things to you in order for you to be better human beings. We know that's not true. We know that's not true. So the lie right there. The manifest destiny. I don't know if you heard this term before, and it's a part of it when we read history. The belief that it was settled. It was a settler's God-given duty to settle the North American continent. This was what contributed to the European settlers how they felt that they had the right to claim land both inhabited and uninhabited all through the Western North America. Okay? Not the truth. Lies that people told themselves so they can continue to do what they did, which is basically take land and so on. Omission from history books, the historical and systematic denial of providing services, particularly financial services, to residents of certain neighborhoods or communities associated with certain racial or ethnic groups through what we call redlining. I think people are now starting to realize what happened in the 50s, 60s, and so on with redlining, how that is impacting current events right now. You know, I happen to live in Inglewood, and my wife and I bought a property there about 4 years ago, and the prices in it, but it was tough getting in there. It was tough, and my wife and I did fairly okay, but it was tough getting in there. The only other people besides the people that look like me are getting in there are people from Orange County and other places in the whole neighborhood. It begs the question: why aren't the Latinos, the African Americans, taking part in the gentrification that's taking place in England? Because a lot of this ties to historical wealth that came from back then, where people were able to have access to. So that all that information is omitted from history. Okay, it's a part of the lie. Okay, huge implications on the well-being of American society. Going into the Iraq War with the lie that they have stockpiles of nuclear weapons that they can strike any moment. Remember that? They got all freaked out on that, and all of a sudden we went out there was nothing there, right? Like, okay, we're sorry, but we came to liberate you. It's just yes. It's what we came to liberate. It's right. Yeah. Not true. Okay. Lies about how crack cocaine entered the U.S. back in the 80s. Okay. That devastated Los Angeles, particularly the African American and Latin community that live in Los Angeles. We come to learn later on that it was actually operations of the CIA and so on that flooded, that helped the cocaine crack cocaine flood American streets. So none of this stuff, we didn't learn this stuff. It's not taught. When I look at the current history books right now, they don't include that stuff. You got to go search for it, and you have to find somebody that will inform you. Omission, same thing as a lie. Okay? So as a result of